Okay, this is a better angle. Thanks for being here. This is the number one support workers advice line, and today I'm talking about making a referral. So, working for a client with alcohol issues, long term, very isolated person, very vulnerable. I can talk about that. Um, yeah, so he sort of triggered the destitute talk before, and now I'm referring on. So being concise in the referral is important. Um, about hospital admissions that have occurred of late, um, because that articulates the client's willingness to change. So this client went to hospital just before Christmas, and then he took himself there that time, and then stayed in for about a month and a half. Came out. Some sort of unhelpful community members moved into his house and sort of squatted there for a few months. Then they left, and that sort of ran through those few months. He took himself to hospital again. He rang an ambulance, and they came and got him and took him to hospital, and he stayed in hospital for a few days with self-reported stroke-like symptoms. And then just recently, he was told he went to the GP with me, and his observations were taken, and he was given the advice to go to hospital straight away. So we hadn't had much to do with him. I hadn't had much to do with him because of the squatters and the risks around that, attending his home with them around. So yeah, I got to see him, and he'd lost a lot of weight. Was very undernourished. Yep. So when I'm making a referral to articulate those hospital visits and a bit of that background story, um, sort of helps the organisation have an understanding of where he's coming from, what he's been through, but it also gives a clear indication that he's got a willingness to not use alcohol, and his health is failing. He's very weak, malnourished, and the blood pressure indicates that he's not very healthy. Yep. So yeah, looking forward to that referral going through. I have to talk to the client about if he wants to change, and he wants to go to a different rehabilitation sort of setting. You need to detox, and then you move into the residential after that. So he is a real sort of expert of local services. So he knows what's around. He knows, and he won't go there. So he knows that rehab service or that one because he's heard stories about them from people he mixes with, because they've all been through there. So the idea is to get him referred to um, a more urban rehab setting, one in the city, in a big city. Um, so I have researched rehabs in the big city, and am exploring, asking about their referral eligibility, on whether or not he can live in the live out of area, and if they accept anyone. Yep. So I had to articulate his current circumstances as well, and where he is now, which is in hospital after last week, after the GP told him to go there. So, and he's got a real willingness. He's verbalising a real willingness to change and not drink. The urban rehab environment is more of a, generally I've encountered more passionate workers there. Um, it's they're dedicated to AOD and not part of some wider sort of allied health network of um, services. I mean, they work, but people have generally of an older age have been through all those services before, so they'd like to try something new. So a not-for-profit rehab that has eligible criteria, which is a few 100 kilometres away, could be a good option. And generally, the man from the bush likes to think that he'll get good expert help in the big smoke. But can't dream of getting there, can't put function to get there and put it all together. So my job is to just get him there to the front door with everything he needs. And this is if he says yes to this. Yep. Assisting the client to make a choice. So, yeah, I'd like to give him choices on what's available. So I'll do research a bit more, but I've got a fairly good idea about and how to challenge his values and see if he's up for going. Yeah, I think this is a good match. So getting buy-in from the family. Needing to employ their children to somehow just check in and say hello. Hospital visits usually do that. The kids genuinely want to connect, but found it difficult during the time of his social upheaval. And the place there's no functionality in the home. No emptying out ashtrays, no taking out rubbish, no cleaning, no laundry. Really, these sort of circumstances. Buy-in from the family also helps. Like the family don't have to be present, but you can talk to the client about his family and what he could be missing out on and how much more he's got to enjoy. And so that's not a bad start to get people thinking about reasons for change, reasons for not using alcohol. Redirecting buy-in back to the client. So as we're talking about the family, and have you got a phone call? Have you got, would you like a visit? Would you like a phone call? What would that look like? Where is the other one? Where's the other kid? Or where's the, sister, mother? So researching the referral, so I will look for another couple of referrals. With an eligible criteria for him. Yep, so the nearest capital city is always an option. Or maybe even a completely different option. Maybe what's needed is a complete change of scenery. And you may find there's some connectedness to another place, like a family member nearby or that has moved away a long time ago. Or so to make a referral think out of the box when you're making a referral. There is some lax eligibility criteria. Having a long break from seeing the client after the rehabilitation. So once you've plugged them in, just leave them be. And then you can take care of their belongings or their homes, like get the place locked up or whatever needs to happen. But yeah, have a good break from the client after all this is said and done. Yeah, it's quite taxing, even being in a squalid home due to drug addiction, and it's not a fantastic thing to sort of have. But there's some intensive work in getting the person to clinical services and then settling into clinical services and then rehab afterward. There's a fair bit of work to be involved, and plus the onus is on me to get the house cleaned and locked up and secure on his behalf whilst he gets better. So take care of his belongings and things, and it's quite a taxing job. So take care of yourself in that as well. So yeah, I'd recommend having a break from the client. Like once all this is in place, you can step back. You've handed him over to the professional AOD services, and they can take over from there. And you'll just work to advocate to maybe fix furnishings in his home, things like this. Maybe he could source wider welfare services for furniture and bedding and window furnishings, curtains, things like that. So they're all. That's the sort of groundwork we've got to do now after it's been cleaned. Yeah, who cleans it? Support workers, which are hired to do so. Like a major cleaning contractor comes in and does the job. Funding in Middle Australia is available. Setting up services for the client, being able to plug in like a community nurse to come around and check, or if you have a welfare service which is paid to provide services to the vulnerable and marginalised, you can via the government you can put that into place to keep things lifted, keep things ticking over. This client doesn't have much. He's of an age where he will go into an aged care facility in 2 years, but he needs to straighten out before he goes to those sort of places. He won't be able to. So we've got another couple of years to help get functional and get in a place where he chooses not to drink, because a wet sort of supported accommodation setting is just going to be catastrophic for this person in a couple of years' time. So while he's young and can still sort of move, albeit with walking aids or whatever, we need to get him visiting his elderly mum and his sister or whatever. Up interstate, generally people are dispersed, but his children are right nearby here, which is a fantastic thing for him. Yeah, so in-home services, it's like the house hadn't moved in many years. So nothing had been, after the kids moved on, nothing had been thrown out. It's like it's just a real time capsule, really. The couple of bedrooms there. Yeah. But we're going to get that in order and keep some of the sentimentality that's there for some of the rooms, and get some emotional order in there for him. Yeah, basically the alcohol just doesn't give him any room for emotion. It's just, he's just riding this wave of being drunk or wanting to get drunk, and then there's smoking right throughout. Just a lot of smoking. Cigarettes. Smoking cigarettes. He's talking about going to the GP and getting on a schedule of diversional therapy for smoking. You can here in Middle Australia. You can go to the GP and they'll pay you. They'll give you a prescription for a product here, which goes for about a month and a half, and it's a schedule of medications where you take it for the first couple of weeks and continue smoking, and then you change colour in pills, and then for 2 weeks after that you're upping your dosage, and you continue smoking until it gets to the point where you just don't want to do it. You're gagging when you smell smoke now. So it's an interesting thing to knock the cigarettes on the head. Um, yeah, so that's an idea that he's pursuing, which will certainly lift his environment. Yeah, so getting an OT organised for equipment, like if so he needs a bit of a walking aid, maybe some railings might be good. Um, yeah, so getting them to go around his house and get him functional in that manner. Yep. So getting in contact with the family, I choose not to. It's not my place, but I check in as to see whether he's making contact with them. Uh, I Yeah, it's very important that he maintains contact and tell people where he is, and they will come and visit him. And he's quite lucky that yeah, he's got two beautiful young kids who yeah, really care about him and wanted to see him get better. So he knows that, I think. Yeah. But you always got to maintain your boundaries. So what I do is when I'm having conversations with the client about this sort of stuff, I let him know, hey, I'm a professional support worker, but I know what works, and it is a connection with family. Family are the people who will support you. I'm only around 9 to 5. So who's going to support you out of hours? And it's my job to connect you with people like that. So we're going to talk personal now, and that's the way I embrace the boundaries, but the also the strong emotional content. Oh, g'day. Yeah, I'm just going to step into this with you. Look, I think it's really important that you get in touch with your family members and that you tell them where you are. Look, this is you might find it difficult, but you really need to do this to ensure that yeah, you've got people to help you in the after hours. It's always a good opener. Anyway, thanks for having me. That was a really good one, and I've really enjoyed talking to you today. And yeah, I hope the new camera looks better. Yeah, so thanks a lot, and I'll go and process this one.